visited a company in East Yorkshire which wants to breed hundreds of dogs for animal research. Now, this comes after B&K Universal appealed a decision to reject an expansion of their site at Grimston, near Withensea. At the moment, the company buys in puppies and rears them on site. Animal rights campaigners joined people living nearby to protest against plans this afternoon. Now, Alex Irving's with me in the studio. She's from Oppose B&K, which is a pro-science campaign. Good evening, thanks for coming in.
Good evening.
Tell us about your campaign, first of all, then. Who are you exactly as a group?
Right. We're part of a collective alliance who campaign on the basic grounding and backing of MPs, senior MPs and leading medical scientists who have the evidence and have had it for many years, but it's hidden from the public, that animals do not predict for the human response in the study of diseases and chemicals and drug development.
Okay.
So animal testing is failing humans and patients.
Just want to play what David Gatehouse from the company B&K Universal has told us and just respond to that. Let's have a listen to David Gatehouse now.
I don't think anybody wants animal work. The reason that animal work in medical research exists is because the overwhelming majority of scientists, of scientific opinion, particularly natural scientists, say that it should. And the government in continuum, this government and its predecessors, have decreed that animals should be involved in medical research, particularly medical discovery and new drug development.
So what he's saying there, David Gatehouse, is that nobody wants this, but most scientists are saying it's needed, effectively, isn't it?
Okay, well, David Gatehouse works for Understanding Animal Research, which is a propaganda machine for the animal experimentation community. And he's paid an awful lot of money, as their organisation is, to elicit the public acceptance of animal experiments. And the reason why they want the public to accept it is in order to protect the financial interests of the industry, which is worth billions. So they falsely claim that animals are used to predict the human response and in order to protect their financial and commercial activity.
All right, so what was happening today then as this planning inspector came to Grimston?
Well, he was visiting the residents and he was visiting the B&K site and looking at obviously the planning implications and all the documents that have been sent to Eric Pickles. And we were there to represent the collective voices which are campaigning for the public to realise and the government to accept that the laws mandating animal experiments go back 70 years and they are completely out of line with current scientific understanding. And that is why the drug development pipeline has dried up. And the chief editor of the British Medical Journal and the CEOs of pharmaceutical companies around the world are now openly acknowledging that animal experiments fail in the study of disease and drug development. Their vision of the future has been quoted by many people around the world, by Professor Ingber at Harvard University, for instance, as saying when you ask them what is their vision for the future of drug development using animals, they say it is to fail and to fail quickly using animals, because the quicker we fail, the less billions of money is wasted in using animals to try and predict. So 95% of drugs that get past the preclinical stage before they go into the human clinical trial stage are tested on animals, supposedly to protect the safety of those humans involved in the clinical trials. But 95% of those drugs fail at the human level, and they know the animal model is redundant as a way of predicting whether a drug will work and be effective in curing and treating chronic diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's.
But isn't the planning inspector, he's not going to listen to all that, is he? Is he not just going to have a look at the site and say, right, this site is suitable, from point of view of traffic, from point of view of access and so on, and this is my decision? He's not going to bother about all of that, is he?
No, indeed he's not. But I think that given that there are 130,000 people that have signed petitions from our organisation, from WAV, from around the country, 130,000 people have signed petitions. You've got over 50 MPs that want to hear the evidence that says animals do not predict, and they want animal experimenters to give their evidence saying it does. Now, that's a fair thing to ask for, and we have been asking Eric Pickles to decide this Grimston issue on the basis of a public inquiry, because this has national implications for public health. We also have a patients group which is campaigning for cures. These are people who are suffering on a daily basis with debilitating crippling conditions like multiple sclerosis, and they are saying, we know that these cures are not coming through for us because the pharmaceutical company continue to use the animal model, even though they openly admit that it doesn't work. But they're locked down by outdated laws that don't align with science. So there's this chicken and egg, which we've got to try and unravel. And there are thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who want it stopped. There are celebrities, there are MPs, and there are scientists. The fact that a lot of the scientists daren't speak out, because that's what's going on here, when David Gatehouse says, oh, it's a minority. That's not true, but they daren't come out. They can't go on the streets and shout this from the rooftops, because it ruins their careers. And the people who are openly acknowledging, even though they're doing animal experiments, they're getting highly paid. So they are not going to be able to shout from the rooftops, actually what we're doing doesn't work, because it ruins their careers and they won't pay their mortgages.
Very briefly, so to finish, if we may, let's say then the planning inspector sides with B&K and their appeal is successful. Where do you go from there?
We carry on. We're 24/7 for the last 4 years. We've been lobbying in Parliament. We've been gaining more and more scientists to speak out about this openly and not worry about upsetting the community, because the people are misinformed in this country. They give their consent to animal cruelty on the mistaken belief that it actually helps human medicine. And we're there trying to address that misinformation by David Gatehouse and understanding animal research, and the people who are there with propaganda trying to protect people like the breeders. We're going to keep going, whether it opens and whether it expands or not, because this is not serving public health. It's damaging people. It's actually harming people in clinical trials, and it's delaying the discovery of cures for chronic diseases which are on the rise indefinitely.
All right, thank you for coming in this evening, Alex Irving there from Oppose B&K, a pro-science group.
David Burns, is this a concern for you?
Well, obviously it is.
You're in Hornsey.